Alyssa, I wanted to make sure we were on the same page. So I've just got this cylinder created. Now if we look into our polycylinder 1, we have a lot of subdivisions, 20 around, especially having this vertice in the center here. Mudbox isn't going to like that because it thinks it's too many points centered on one. So what we can do is actually turn this down, maybe to 12. You may think like that doesn't look round like a mug, but if I hit 3, we're still going to get smooth. We'll add some subdivision so it doesn't look like a pumpkin, but you're still going to get a smooth surface. So now I want in my height, I think 5 is good, and then we just need 1 more in the cap. Okay, so now if I hit 3, you can see we're getting more of a mug shape. It looks like you didn't really have any issues creating the lip of the mug or bringing the top down, but I just scaled out that edge loop, and then I grabbed these faces and did an extrusion downward. I like to use my move tool when doing an extrude. You can also have a couple extrusions down, so I can hit G as in great to redo my last action and then move that down again. For this purpose it won't really matter, just so that you're aware for future projects. Alright, and then to actually make the handle, sorry, that's my dog Norman. Norman! To make the handle, we can grab a face. You would grab 2 originally, but I think with kind of lowering our poly count, 2 might become too wide. If you want to use 2, you are more than welcome to, but I will grab this one. Just do an edit mesh extrude, and then I can pull this one out. I like to use my move tool, so I hit W, and then you can move it. Now the main thing as you go is to make sure you're checking all angles to see if it's lined up how you want it to be. So then I can hit G to redo my last action, and then again I hit my move tool, check from all sides, and I'm going to rotate this down a little bit, and maybe I want to even move it down. And it's up to you how you want your handle to look. There is no right or wrong answer. I know you had discussed about keeping faces in a similar size, and yes, that's important, but it's definitely not going to make or break your model, especially in this class. So we've got this. I would spend a little bit more time, and you can always go back into vertex mode or edge mode and adjust after the fact. So if you're like, man, I really want these 2 to be down or up, you can do that. Once it's all finished, you don't have to worry about it. So then I'll go back into face mode. I'll just do an edit mesh extrude. And then move this down. Looks like I'm already getting off track. So you got to make sure you're checking all views. There we go. And then I'll hit G to do another extrude. Again, I would probably take a little bit more time evening everything out, but I want to show you the next part. So then I'm going to go in the face that I want to connect this to. I'm going to delete that face. And I'm going to delete the face on my handle. So I've got 2 open areas, and then I'm going to go into vertex mode, and I'm going to merge these vertices together because this has to be one complete shape, and that's what's going to connect these edges. So you have to do them 2 at a time because what you're merging together, if I were to grab all of these vertices, they would come to 1 point. So I have 2, I'm going to edit mesh, merge to center, the next 2. You can hit G again to redo the last action. So you have to make sure to get all 4 of them. Now once they're merged, you can change the positioning, you know, maybe moving things in or around or however you see fit. Okay? So that's getting your clean handle. You could do another extrude on the handle before you merge, but again, I just wanted to show you. So if we hit 3, we can see what our coffee mug is going to look like. Now, the other main thing we need to do is do a UV unwrap. So once I get this how I want, I can go to UV, and then automatic, And if I go into object mode here, I can look at my UV editor and see the unwrap. Okay, I can see all the pieces. And then we can do a send to Mudbox. And ta-da! You're ready to mold and sculpt. So no errors. So that's our main goal here. You'll notice this is pretty small on the grid, so I think I'm going to want to scale this up in Maya. It's a little deceiving, but mainly my grids are set up differently. So scale it up, send to Mudbox, send as new scene. Okay. So I may still need to scale it up. There is the scale tool in here. The only problem is sometimes it's hard to grab, but with yours, it's not looking like an issue. So we can scale. Okay, then once we get it to a pretty decent size, we can go into our sculpt tools. You're gonna hit Shift D, and that's what's changing your wireframe, doubling it. So you can see we're getting the smoothness already. And then you can start grabbing your tools, your sculpting tools, and painting on your mug. I'm going to turn down the strength here, not to 0, we want something. You can hold M on your keyboard to adjust the magnitude, and B on your keyboard is brush size. So it doesn't look like anything is happening to our wireframe. You can do a Shift D to make sure there is enough actual substance to move. You can see every time how many polygons you have, but now we can bring our brush down. Looks like it's not really affecting anything, so that's when I would go back and scale up your model. Unfortunately, it is a little bit of trial and error. But generally, if you look at the grid, that should be a pretty good size. And you can hit W to toggle on and off the wireframe. So let's grab our sculpt brush. Let's try a different brush. Sometimes my computer gets a little stencil. There we go. Just undoing it, and of course I'm going to freeze my computer. But, so hopefully you won't have to go into the stencil before it will allow you to paint on your model, but you should be set to go. You can add the form detail you want, the surface detail you want, or start painting your textures. So let me know if you have any other questions.